Hey guys, Prangell Gaming here and welcome back to Talk the Wall. This is the 18th installment, and before we get right into your responses and any questions you may have had, if you haven't seen any of the other 17 installments, then why not go check them out? There is going to be a link in the description of this video for the last Talk the Wall, or you could access the playlist by clicking the I button to see all the videos you may have missed. But as always, if you have any questions or opinions, do feel free to put them in the comments section of this video because I want a Millwall voice throughout. Also, before we get into this podcast, do put your score predictions for the Southend United FA Cup game that we'll be playing on Friday in the comments section. And while you're down there, do feel free to add your opinions of what you felt went right and wrong in that match. But do bear in mind, I record this on a Monday, so if anything becomes outdated or if any new news stories appear, then I'll cover them next week. So every week I ask you to put your predictions for the match that Millwall play, and this week Millwall faced off away from home to Oxford United, and these were your predictions. So we'll start with the correct ones, and there were quite a few this week, so you did really well on predicting the right scoreline. The people that got it right were Joe Holloway, RC Gaming, Harry CD and Charlie Collins. They all said that we would continue our winning streak and win 2-1, but Harry CD also said that he had a bad feeling that Oxford would batter us. However, we didn't. We got the win, and he said if we had have got the result, which we did in the end, Gregory and Fred would score, which neither did, but he did get the score right, so congratulations for that. There were two people that weren't far off with the scoreline, and they were Lucas United and It's Hardcore. They said we'd win 2-0, and that would have been correct if we had kept our first clean sheet since the first match of the season against Oldham Athletic. There was one more person to predict the score, and that was Alfie's Wet Gaming, and he said it would end 1-1. Williams would score. He wasn't far off, and it was a pretty good prediction if you ask me. Now let's move into your comments, and Elite She said that Lee Gregory would be the top goal scorer with 18 goals come the end of the season, which, to be honest, I reckon Morrison will, but what we'll do is we'll make note of that and we'll see come the end of the season. He also asked a question that was, is Paris Cowan-Hall out on loan? And my response to that is yes, he is on loan, but I will tell you how well he did in his last game a bit later on today. The next person to comment was Alfie's Wet Gaming, and it was to do with the transfers and his idea of Millwall moving forward. He said, we need some loan players in to go up in League One. It seems that you need at least some loan players, and whilst having our own players is better, Barnsley last year had loads of loan players, and we could do with a new left back and possibly another target man striker as backup for Morrow. Also, maybe another centre back for when one of the three are injured. I feel like these types of players could do a good job for us, and it would enable a different option off the bench when someone isn't performing, and enable some rest for players that are still developing and constantly playing, such as Marlon Romeo. So personally, I think we have a very strong squad. Now, I do agree that we need a striker, but who's to say that Harry Smith isn't that player? I think that Joe Martin is a great League One quality left back. He can get the job done, definitely. He does get booked a lot, but I think that's his passion in football coming forward. Now, with the centre-backs, we do have four already. Tony Craig, Sean Hutchinson, Sid Nelson and Byron Webster. Also, Sean Williams and Marlon Romeo can play there, so we shouldn't be quick to say that we need loans, because we would never be able to afford to sign those loans to make them a permanent deal if we were to get promoted. And the way that we kind of go means that homegrown players like Noah Cheeseman don't get time to play, and I'm not being funny, but Neil Harris's plans does involve a large majority of using homegrown players, so it's highly unlikely that he will turn to loans. We are 13th in the league table, only 13 points off the top. We will be fine. We have a squad that is strong enough to gain promotion without loans. Well, that is how I feel. Let me know what you guys reckon. On another side note for that though, I do think that he needs to get the balance right, because sometimes I think younger players need to be given an opportunity and sometimes they have not been given an opportunity. But I do want to get your guys' opinions on that one. Now, the final comment is by Joe Holloway, and this actually introduces a new section to the podcast, which is called the Loan Watch. And his comment was, you should include a Loan Watch segment in the episode that tells us how everyone is doing at their loan clubs. And to be honest, I couldn't agree more. So here it is. the loan watch. Right, so we will start off with David Ford, who is on loan at Portsmouth at the moment. He played 90 minutes for them versus Cambridge and kept a clean sheet as Portsmouth won 1-0. Pretty impressive for David Ford. He's keeping a lot of clean sheets. He's definitely using his experience very well in League 2. Now, Paris Cowan-Hall is also in League 2. He's with Wycombe Wanderers. He played 90 minutes versus Doncaster, but he did fail to score or get an assist. He even missed a huge late chance to give Wycombe the 3 points in their 2-2 draw. However, John Marquis did score in that one. Just wanted to point that out, just so you know that he played one of the ex-Millwall players. And then finally, Jamie Philpott played 56 minutes for Bromley against North Ferriby, and he didn't score or get any assists. In fact, the player that came on for Philpott scored for Bromley as they won the match 2-1. So before we get into the Millwall news, we need to cover the game that Millwall played last week, and that was against Oxford United away from home. We won this game 2-1 thanks to goals from Steve Morrison and Aidan O'Brien. Morrison's goal was a 25-yard volley and was assisted by a Jordan Archer free kick, and Aidan O'Brien's goal was just inside the box as he received the ball off of Marlon Romeo. Millwall did really well defensively, and Fred looked crucial to Millwall's attack going forward, especially on the counter-attack. So it is that time in the podcast where we cover the Millwall news, and for this week we start off with Sean Hutchinson and the fact that he understands that he is going to have to battle Millwall favourites to win a space in the starting 11. He said that he will work hard in training and will be ready to play when Neil decides to give him a chance. We'll just have to wait and see when Neil puts him in the team and see if he can be an important role in our team. Obviously, he was originally bought to do so. The next story comes from the Fleetwood Town game. Now, hold on a second before you complain. This game was quite a while ago, but I just want to bring up something, bring it to you guys' attention about this game. So, do you remember seeing two players go off the pitch to get treated because they were bleeding? Well, actually, 4 players in total had to see the club physio, Bobby Bassick, during and after the game for head-related injuries. So, you may have seen Thompson and Craig had to be treated during the game, but it was revealed that after the match, Sean Williams and the substitute that was literally not on for very long, Sean Hutchinson, also had to see Bobby Bassick. Now, Harris said it was due to the players putting their heads into dangerous areas to stop chances, and in my opinion, that showed they truly wanted to battle for the club. And the final story is coming from Neil Harris, and it's explaining Jamie Philpott's loan move to Bromley Town, the club where Pavey was out on loan until he had to come back after getting injured. So Neil said Jamie will gain more experience playing football rather than being a spectator from the bench, and his progression is important at his stage in his career, and it's much important that he's going to be getting game time rather than not getting anything at Millwall, so the loan move suited both parties. And with Alfie Pavey back and Harry Smith still knocking on the door for a chance, it seemed the best scenario for both of us. So that is all we got time for today at least. Do feel free to put your questions and opinions in the comment section for the next Talk to Wall. However, before I go, don't forget to put your score predictions for the Southend United game in the comment section, as next week I'll be covering the game and highlighting the good and bad points. But why don't you let me know your opinions of that match and Millwall as a whole? I always want to hear what your opinions are of Millwall. So like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next week for the next Talk to Wall. But until then, goodbye.